What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a TwoPennyGames review, this time for Helldivers 2. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, and lead reviewer, joined by my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hello, people. We are reviewing Helldivers 2.
You keep looking into your one. You know the one is active. You know the wide is active. You know the wide is active.
I always think you switched to mine.
You had
when
two
you introduced
takes.
Me. Hey, I thought you switched to mine when you introduced it, but you know.
Say hello to the people, Phil Shoemaker.
Hello. You really threw Connor off whenever you restarted the recording.
It got him
Really
good,
threw him
didn't it? It got him fucking good.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start this thing off right because, oh boy, we got some good gaming fun to talk about. Helldivers 2 is a great game. Now, when I say Helldivers 2 is a great game, I'm really coming at it from two different perspectives here. It's my objective opinion of the game as a whole, including how it plays, its performance, its execution, its themes, and how much fun it is just to play. And then I'm coming at it with how the game makes me feel. And I think I want to start with how it makes me feel, which is not something I always start with, or very often, if ever, have started with. Helldivers 2 makes me feel like I'm 14 again. Makes me feel like I'm in my mom's house, in my bedroom, you know, closed up for an entire weekend with the boys on Xbox Live Gold, playing Halo 3, playing Call of Duty Black Ops, playing whatever you want, man. Like, that nostalgic feeling I have from multiplayer games with the crew, Helldivers 2 has achieved and has made me feel like that again. A feeling I never thought I would ever get again. And it's here every time I pick up the controller. And that should speak volumes as to just how much fun the game is to play. And that alone, if you're a guy like me, should confirm whether or not you should pick up and play this game. Now to get into the objective review part of it. Helldivers 2 is a great game. Its shooting is fantastic. It feels great. Every gun has its own unique feel, and it feels exactly how you think it should feel. It sounds exactly how you think it should sound. And it's just so much fun to experiment and play around with all the different weapons and use of stratagems, and squad up with all your buddies and dive into the field and just get your absolute shit rocked, because Helldivers 2, much like the first one, is a very punishing game. I think it is a beautiful game, surprisingly beautiful. There are environments in this game that look phenomenal. It is unbelievably cinematic for it being just a straight-up just multiplayer game with enemy NPCs running around. You really do feel like you are just holding your own, and you are Earth's last defense and first offense in this game. And that feeling is so awesome. I love the homage to Starship Troopers and all the parody that they're having with that. It was funny because on the first day we played, the voice lines repeat a lot. And the first day we played, I sat back and I was like, these are kind of getting annoying, hearing the same lines over and over again. But the way they're delivered and the tone of the game and just how fun and how much piss it takes out of itself, those repetitive voice lines came all the way back around to me loving them. So every time a character yells out, "For democracy! Have a nice cup of liberty!" or something like that, I smile and I have fun with it, and I quote it back at the character who's yelling it. I think the game is well balanced. Yeah, exactly. I think the game is well balanced for how challenging it is. When you lose, you don't feel like it's hopeless. You just feel like, okay, I need to take a step back, lower the difficulty, come at it with a new strategy. You lose and you understand why you lose. You win and you feel like you've earned the win, which is an incredibly important balance to get. I want to give this game an amazing, which is a 9 on our scale, and I'm giving it a great, which is an 8, mostly because of the performance of the game. This is not including how much the game has blown up on PlayStation and on PC and all of that, and the servers having problems. It's incredible that the game has found such success, and because of that, Arrowhead is having to put player count limits on their servers, and those are getting maxed out all the time. that is not deducting points from performance here. When I talk about performance, I do talk about glitches. I do talk about early network connectivity that we're having and how often the game would crash. The game crashes a lot. It's doing so less and less as the game is getting updated, but you do still very often get dropped from the network, get dropped out of games right when you're in the middle of something important, which is annoying. And then the game is rife with bugs and glitches. Lots of clipping issues where... not bugs as in the little insectoids that you're killing, Connor. The bugs as in, like, technical glitches. A lot of clipping issues where the enemies will walk through walls or it will clip through the environment or shoot you through the environment and you can't see them, but they can see you. And it's clearly not supposed to be that way. We had a game-breaking bug just the other night where there's a mission where you have to extract civilians out, and they run from one door to another door. It's very simple, very basic. They would get to the front of the door and stop and not go in the door, so we could not make progress in that mission. We just had to time out and lose the mission. I will say the game is great, has great quality of life. It's doing everything a live service game should be doing. It doesn't have the invasive, greedy, money-grabbing microtransactions in it. There are microtransactions in it, but you don't feel the need to do it to win. Like, you feel like you can excel and grind and progress through its battle passes without spending money on it. It doesn't feel like an impossible grind, which is great. Drop in, drop out co-op. You don't have to stop a match to bring your friend in. They can come in whenever they want. It's focused around... players finding each other. It's really easy to find matches. It's really easy to host a match and find other players. All of this is fantastic. All of this is really well implemented. And just the communal grind to repelling enemy assaults, it feels so good. However, I'm not quite sure at where the game is right now if it has enough content to satisfy for a huge amount of time. I think what's there is good. It's not great. A lot of it just kind of comes down to just kill a bunch of things, which is nice, and they do have enough variety to where killing a bunch of things is not boring ever, but it does come down to that more times than not. And I think the way you can build out your character build is super dynamic. You can do it however you want, really, and you don't have to bounce off of what the other guys are playing. So, for example, you're not locked into a medic role or a support role. You can put out damage just as much as you can help your friends out, except most of the time, the optimum build is just to have enough stratagems and loadouts built towards doing damage and built towards killing. The more killing you can do, the faster that you can do the killing is always supreme. In terms of supporting your other teammates, there's not a lot of options outside of, hey, I'm just going to give you an ammo pack. You know, there's not a lot of recon abilities. There's not a lot of medic abilities. There's not a lot you can do in terms of diversifying outside of just outputting a lot of damage. So it's just small things like this that kind of just hold the game back from me from going up to that next level. But again, it's just so fun. It's just so charming. And it works so surprisingly well that all of that kind of falls flat from the perspective of how it is objectively as a game versus how the game makes me feel. And how every single time I've put the game down, I've not wanted to. I've wanted to keep going. It's the endless cycle of one more match. But every time that life forces us to turn it off, I'm always mad. I'm always angry. Why do I have to go to sleep? Why do I have to go to work? I just want to keep playing Helldivers 2. Connor, you've got a little bit more of a limited experience here, less hours than me. I'm, 25 plus. Phil's also 25 plus. Where are you sitting at with it? Also, as another fan of the first game.
Yeah, I think it's great. Same as you. The interesting point you made is that there isn't many options to be able to have your class. Because a lot of these PvE games, I think of Deep Rock Galactic, you have, everyone has their own role. This one does not have that. They're rolls, you could say, but they're soft rolls. They're not hard locking you into anything. I agree. It should have some more ways to define that because the game allows for so much customizability. You can, switch it on the fly. You don't have to be that, support class, but if there were more stratagems that were associated with being a support class, you could do it, or offense or defense. So it really does, as you said, even though it doesn't have a really long roadmap at the moment, it has a bunch of potential to have one. They're obviously hiring a lot of people now that the game did as successful as it is. So even if right now there's an end in sight, the horizon is pretty high, especially considering how well this game has sold and performed on Steam. One of the best performing games we've had in many years, just in terms of its player count online. The combat, as you said, is great. Stratagems are really fun to punch in. The dive mechanic in that game, in how you have to shake off status effects and also just dodge out of the way of giant charging fucking insects, really adds to, as you said, that feeling of just cinematic, amazement. Especially with some of the stuff I've seen from the automatons, which, as Tavin said, I hadn't played that much. I did see what that looks like, and it looks hectic. And so it seems like they play completely differently. That's another area where, could they add another class? I can't remember in the original game. I think they had more than 2.
There's 3, if my memory serves right. And I want to add on to that. The different enemy types all feel different to fight.
Yeah.
Whether it's automatons or terminids, or even if you go into subclasses of each of those, being the walkers, being the dudes with the 2 chainsaws, being just the dude with the gun or the dude with the missile launcher, and then the terminids, the chargers, the bile vomiters, the bile titans. All of these things feel different to fight up against. Phil, I want to take it to you, my friend, as a new Helldivers player. How is it grabbing you?
Yeah, no, it's got me by the balls, dude. Like this game is kind of like what you were saying. I agree. It is kind of like on our scale, kind of like the 8 out of 10. But I love it like it's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I fucking adore this game. Fucking just mowing down hordes of these enemies, whether they be terminids or automatons, it's some of the most satisfying co-op experience that I've had since I was a kid. This might be right now. I'd have to get some time away from it to really decide like where I want to put this on my list for like top 10 like co-op games, but it's up there. Like it's up there. It's such a fun time. Just the chaos of it. Like Tavin and Connor played, and like right as we were extracting, Tavin fucking had to reinforce, and he dropped right on top of me. And that kind of thing just happens all the time. Whether it be like you get crushed by a turret, or you're just getting crushed by something dropping from orbit is ridiculous. Or like this might have been a thing that happened with me, you, and Fergus, but you'll drop an artillery strike, and I'll be just a little too close to it, and I'll just get blown away.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous. Like the amount of stuff happening at one time. Like you can set off. There's these little sub-objective where you have to call down like a bomb to set off for a like just to blow up like a research station that you don't want to get in the wrong hands. And so you will set the bomb. We'll arm it. And then I'll turn away to run away, but there's a wave of enemies coming towards me, so I gotta fucking mow them down before I can move. But then I get distracted and I blow up from the bomb that's going off behind me. And it's just it just brings me joy, like this game. I love the way that the community aspect of this game, where like we're seeing all over social media people being in character as like their Helldiver and being like there are people making jokes like with the server cap and all that, where I'm sorry, my ship's refueling, I can't run it right now. Or like if a bunch of people were going to fight this one defense mission, and one person you can see like in real time the amount of people on a planet doing a certain mission, and like what are all these people doing over here in these like safe planets? Like we need help over here. Damn it, we need help at this planet. People just trying to farm XP and all that. But I love this game. I know we're still at the beginning of the year, but I was telling Tavin when we were playing, I think last night, this game, it's gonna be hard to take out of my top 3 for the year.
Yeah.
Granted, we're only in February, but you know, it's just one of those things where I don't know. Like Tavin said, who knows the lifespan of this game? Who knows like what else they're gonna bring down the line? Because this is a live service game, so hopefully they do more. We were chatting, I think with Fergus, and you mentioned how the dev team they're looking at their initial plan and how outdated it was, and that just tells me that they want to do even more.
Yeah.
You know, that sounds like good news to me. Like they're realizing that they have a hit on their hands, that people are really enjoying fighting these Terminids and automatons and getting in character as these Helldivers in this Starship Troopers-esque universe and spreading democracy, man. It's super fun.
Yeah, and to jump off of that, like I think long-term success on this game very much depends on how fast they can strike while the iron is hot. You know, how quickly can they get a third faction of enemies out? How quickly can they put an event out? Something small, something quick, something that they can capitalize on. How much cosmetic stuff do they have in the backlog, if they have any in the backlog, that they're going to be ready to put out next month or whatever for a new battle pass or just new things in the store that you can grab. How much does the assaults from when, you know, right now we're doing pretty okay pushing everything back as a community and so forth, but you know, in another week when they say, hey, Terminids gained ground on you because they had a mass population growth or whatever in-game reason they have for it, right? How engaging will that be for the audience to go, oh shit, we got to go over there right now. Everybody log on, we got to go. How much does this community care about the progress
squash
of the
some bugs?
Yeah, of the war effort.
You see, you would have to, you know, jump in here, Tavin. I remember going off memory from the first Helldivers, it was always just a matter of going sector to sector and just eliminating the enemy. It never seemed like they were pushing people back. It just kind of progressively went the way of the human side, and then it would eventually reset.
It's much like how it is now, where it's just hey, there's a push and a pull. You know, right now the automatons are pushing us, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're in the final stages of defending that sector that they invaded and so forth. So like we're pretty much done with that, you know, defense campaign right now. And then it's a matter of just like, I think there's another 11 or 10 days on that counter, and we squashed it in 3, you know, and there was 14 total. So when that timer runs out, like, and it's the Terminid's turn to do that, how much do people care, you know?
It's all about that content.
I hate to kill our momentum. I have to step out. I said my piece. I gotta get going.
Oh, okay, yeah. Here.
He has spoken, and now I depart.
Y'all can keep going. I'm just saying I have to leave.
Yeah, I just gotta edit. I gotta move some things around real quick.
Flaky Phil, they call him.
So that's fine. Anyways.
I know. I'm sorry.
Bye, Phil.
Bye bye.
Have a nice day.
So, anyways, all right. So now that Phil's gone, what a fucking loser, you know?
That's what I was saying.
What an absolute just freak of nature.
Jesus Christ!
But it really just depends on how fast they can strike. You know, the iron while it's hot, like I was saying. You know, how quickly can they come up with that next update that people are going to want to jump into and engage with? How can they expand on this? Some different modes, some different objectives.
Certainly.
You know, what big thing can we do from here to keep us all engaged? And I understand right now it's just a matter of like, all right, let's put out something small that they can do. I think, you know, they've recognized all the network issues, so this weekend has been like a double XP weekend right away. I think that was really smart to keep us engaged and to push us through some of those network issues where we go, all right, well, they're giving us extra money, they're giving us extra XP. Let's go ahead and keep trying to get into these servers and keep trying to play, because we're also having a fun time doing it. So yeah, I'm excited for the future of Helldivers 2, and I'm hoping it's gonna be the banger that it's shaping up to be. And just how great is it that it's Helldivers 2 to do this, right? To be the fastest growing PlayStation game on PC, to be the #1 game on the PlayStation Store right now, to be like in the top 25 Steam most concurrent users of all time, like type thing.
Just topped Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
It's pretty substantial if you're doing that.
Yeah, like it's so impressive that they're able to do this and that they're doing it, and like it's just like the best underdog story that you could hope for here. You mentioned the dive, just to get into some more nitty gritty stuff. I don't love the dive.
You don't.
I don't. It's too hard to get up out of it once you do it, and it doesn't always feel like it saves me. It just kind of delays the inevitable. I wish there was just a combat roll that I could do, but I understand it's supposed to, like, that is the edge of Helldivers, which is what kind of makes it so great.
I mean, I feel like if they would make it too easy to recover, you'd be able to dodge most things that game
all the
throws at
time.
you.
So yeah, it's a difficult balance. Just as of right now, I just don't love it. Like I do like that diving gets you out of like different status ailments. So like if you're slowed or in acid or something, diving out of it, pretty much kills that status ailment immediately, which is nice. It's just when in the heat of the moment, I don't feel like it always works the way I want it to work. Alongside that, like, I think overall game feel is really good in this game. You are doing what you want to do for the most part, but there are times where I'm like, all right, now go sprint and run away, and he doesn't sprint when I click the stick. Like there's something off there or something. I don't know if you felt that too or at all.
I personally hadn't.
No.
Real quick, I just want to jump back to the dive for 1 second. It also does bring tons of comedic effect to it, which adds to this whole reason why the game is as popular as it is, because, obviously it's nice to join hands with friends and fight against a common enemy, but you kind of like to see those guys fail miserably while doing so, and the dive helps that along.
Yeah.
Also, being able, it does take a pretty good amount of effort to get up from it when you dive, so one of the things that I think the game wants you to take advantage of, I do, is to use the shoot on the ground mechanic, because you dive, and if you time it to a point where the enemy is close to death, or they possibly are, you can dive and just unload a bunch into them, usually getting better access to their weak points by doing so. So it's kind of a risk-reward type situation if you use it in the correct way.
That's fair. That's very fair. Yeah. I just can we just talk about how excited I am as someone who played the first game, didn't play as much as I would have liked to because it didn't catch on in our friend group. But as someone who adored Helldivers 1, just absolutely adored it, how exciting it is that Helldivers 2 is having such a big moment right now. That is insane to me. Totally out of left field. Totally was not what I was expecting to come from Helldivers. I was expecting, all right, this is going to be cool for a couple of weekends type game. I'm going to really enjoy it. Connor's going to really enjoy it. Maybe Phil will get into it. But the fact that it's just so big, to the point to where they're like, hey, we weren't expecting this, so we have to rework all of our roadmap plans and figure that out, to what Phil was saying, and we have to, hire on a bunch more people so that we can, get some content rolling out as fast as possible. It's exciting, and I'm just excited for more and for the future of it, and I hope they build out in some really cool and interesting ways. Can I get a stratagem, Connor, where they give me a backpack and I can dish out temporary armor? Something that I can come in. Hey, my shield broke. Hey, Tavin, come hook me up real quick. And I come over and I press a button, and now you've got 25 more hit points or something like that. However it breaks down in the scale of balance, something like that.
Yeah.
Or I'm out of. You kind of get it with the supply pack anyway, but maybe you limit the supply pack to just ammo. It's an ammo box, and then you have a stem box, one where someone can call in and be a stem guy and do that. Can I get maybe what is the shock paddles, defibrillators type thing, and maybe we don't have to call in if they died from just getting hit and their body hasn't fallen apart from an explosion or something. If I just got hit and my body is intact, maybe someone can run over with a defib and shock me back, and it saves us a reinforcement, so we don't have to spend a reinforcement life.
And you see, you saying all of this stuff is to the point of how much there is just to go to carry this game along. Usually when these games come out, like Power Word, for example, it just happened a couple weeks ago. It got a lot of players, similar to Helldivers 2, but people weren't really like, what's going to happen next? What's later on down the road?
Yeah.
Because there wasn't really much to see. And, I even go back to something like Elden Ring. People loved Elden Ring. It was all over Twitter when it came out. But once again, besides people like me who were just, they always make great DLC. Wonder what they're going to do next. People weren't looking forward to what they have just beyond the horizon. Helldivers 2 has been able to do that amazingly.
Yeah.
Not even when they plan to do so, just on the game itself and how they tease out equipment, how they tease out upgrading your ship and whatnot. And the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And everyone recognizes that. And very rarely do you get that effect.
Like, your imagination just immediately starts coming up with ideas of what we could do in the future with this, with stratagems and how you can add more stratagems and so forth, and how it can seamlessly fit into the thing. Maybe there's a stratagem. Currently, there's a stratagem right now that you bring in, and a little dome shield appears, and that's great for fighting the automatons. Doesn't work so well for the Terminids. What can we get? Can we get one that comes in and there's a radar effect and it puts an outline along on every enemy within a certain radius, and now I can see these enemies through walls. I can see my teammates being chased by these guys, so I know that, oh, he is in trouble. Let me go run over and help him, just to give me some more information when I'm in the heat of battle. You know, things like that, just to give us more information. Can we dedicate a guy to being, hey, you're the orbital guy. You're the guy who does this. Hey, you're the information guy. You're the guy who gives us information. You're the support guy. You're going to give us health and ammo, like, type thing. Can we do that? Because right now you can't.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think that's what you can do down the line. Because like I was saying before, it's a soft class system that they have the option of doing. Because, it can change from match to match. It's not like there's armor types. There's light, medium, and heavy. And as of right now, that's the only real hard line. Like, you're the light person or the medium person or the heavier person. But being able to come up with new weapons and stratagems, as you lined out some pretty great ones. And that was just off the top of your head.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just the excitement of that, of how it keeps going. There seems to be at least a third faction of enemies coming by the way they have the map set up, because they have it's seemingly split into thirds, but the bottom third is empty. It's a radial wheel, whatever, and in the top right is the Terminids and the top left is the automatons. It's not a 50-50 split. There's empty space at the bottom. So is there something coming?
That third enemy in Helldivers 1, was it a fucking were they like androids? Were they like augmented humans that were separated from the Helldivers universe? What do they call themselves?
Let me find it. Helldivers 1.
Enemy types, yeah.
Bugs, the Illuminate, and cyborgs.
Cyborgs, yeah. So it was
cyborgs would be what the automatons are now. The Illuminate are the things that we don't know of as of right now. And that's the thing. 3 weeks from now, do we drop the Illuminates? And that's how, instead of it's oh, the automatons pressed in it, because they started the map with Terminids were the closest, so everybody focused on that, and the Terminids are also the kind of they're the easier faction of the two. They'd still have their difficulties, especially as you get higher in the difficulty tier list, which I also love how they did difficulty in this game by unlocking different levels of difficulty. They start you off on, it's not even called easy. What's it called? Tedious, I think, or something like that. And then every time you beat a campaign, which is usually 2 missions, dedicated to a certain sector on a planet or whatever. That's really in the weeds. But after you beat a campaign on a difficulty level, you unlock the next one, and then the next one, and there's 9 in total. And they just keep going higher and higher. Right now, me and Phil just did our first campaign on level 4, and level 4 was kicking our asses. So the fact that it just keeps going, and there are enemy types and variants locked off to higher levels. So as of right now in level 4 and in level 5, there are Terminids, which are insects, basically, who can turn invisible. Yeah. And, you can still see them. They're still pretty easy. But, if you're not paying attention, if you're focusing on the horde that's in front of you, this little guy who's running around in the background and, you do a little bit of damage on him and he runs away. And then he'll go invisible and come back and sneak up behind you and stuff like that. What is beyond that?
Yeah. And to that enemy type, you also have variations in how levels look. So when you have more of the hazy missions, there's a bunch of dust clouds and whatnot, those guys become exponentially stronger as well.
Yeah.
And so what other ways can they influence the environment to make certain enemies that might otherwise be kind of easier, harder?
That's a great point.
Yeah, but also to piggyback off your point, that also ties into the enemy varieties they can do. Not just the factions, but there's tons of room that we haven't tapped into.
What new Terminator can you bring in 3 months from now that changes the entire what is the word I'm looking for? Like what new Terminator can you bring in 3 months from now that's going to change how the battlefield plays out?
Yeah.
You know, like, oh shit, this guy has shields and shields his homies, so now we have to kill him first to get the other ones.
Or one that's kind of in the same alien vein, based off a movie. Kind of creatures like the Tremors. The Tremors works.
Yeah.
Things burrowing under. You can't hit them until they come up, so you have to make use of that dive to time it right.
Yeah.
To where they have themselves exposed. Small
And
things
then
like that.
on top of even that, what if we get to a point where we start mixing it?
Mm-hmm.
What if there's a planet that is just engulfed in a 3-way war between Terminids, automatons, and humans? You know, and what does that look like when the Terminids and the automatons are fighting each other, and then you jump in, or vice versa? You know, what happens if I'm fighting a horde of Terminids and then automatons drop in and start lasering me? How does that change how I react and all that? All of this is exciting to just think about the potential of it, and you can see the growth. Pat, you brought up Power World. You do see growth in Power World and directions in which they can go, but it doesn't feel like it's going to have a like dramatic impact on the gameplay of that game. Like that game is one of those, we played it for a few weeks, had a great time. It's fun, it's gimmicky, it's cute. But you know, we got to a certain point and we moved on, like type of game. Whereas, and I'm not saying I'm done with Power World. I still want to go back and play Power World. I just don't have time right now. But Helldivers is one that it's like, oh no, like maybe Phil drops out for 6 months or a year, and you and I keep playing or something, and then we go, hey Phil, they mix and matched the enemy variants now, so now you have to fight both of them at the same time. You think that's not going to make him go, oh shit, they did what? No, let me get in. Hold on, let me load it back up. Let's go. Let's drop. And it's just so fun and exciting to do all that. It's just as of right now, it's not bare bones content, but like there's definitely an element of like, I wish there was a little more here. You know, there's plenty right now to have a very enjoyable experience. Again, I'm pushing 30 hours, and I don't see an end in sight for me. Like I want to keep going for another 30 hours. And get better and grind out things and get that next assault rifle that's on the next page of the battle pass and stuff like that. Battle pass, they designed quite well, where it's built off of it's not a linear battle pass where it's like you get this item, this item, this item, this item. It's set up in pages, and I think Fortnite's doing this now, where there are, I don't know, 10 items per page, and there's always the 3 cosmetics being the helmet, the cape, and the armor. There's always the weapon. There's the super credits, which is the in-game currency to get to the premium battle pass. There's a booster, and then there's an emote of some kind. Like I guess that's 7, or 8. But there's always those things on each page. So the way it's built out and the way that it's played out is that you can run for what you want first. Usually it's the gun. You want the new gun first, so you go and grab that first and see what that's like. But then sometimes it's like, hey, I really like how that suit looks. Let me focus on that. Or it's like, hey, I really don't like how that suit looks. Let me not focus on that. Let me go back to the upper pages and get the emote from that page, and then that will unlock the next page and allow me to keep going down and down and down. I think it's just really smartly built out. Also, the way they build out the super credits is awesome. Like there's enough super credits in the base battle pass to where you can unlock the premium by completing that, or you can find super credits in the field in very small amounts, but that allows you to feel freedom, so you don't feel guilty for buying things in the store that sell for individual credits. You can go and buy that sick helmet that's in the store, and not feel bad about it because you're not saving for the premium battle pass. The way they've gotten that to function and work is brilliant, and it's just, there's such great quality of life here, and it's met with incredible charm, really solid rock foundation gameplay that we can build on top of, and it just leads us to a thing where we look at this and go, how did they make it look so easy? In the month of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and how that flopped. Skull and Bones, nobody's fucking talking about. These are games of service that were built from the ground to be that, and they couldn't make it work. From studios with way more budget than what Arrowhead was dealing with. Now, granted, it's still a PlayStation for published game, and they're treating it like a first party launch, even though Arrowhead's not a first party studio. This would be what we would call a second party game back in the day, but that term has kind of faded. But Arrowhead's not Rocksteady, man. Like, Rocksteady's way bigger, got, a lot of fucking talent, and has way more budget. And they had the DC branding alongside with them, and they couldn't get it done.
And you see, that's kind of a topic of live service games nowadays, because we've seen path to success with those kinds of games, but it's not something that you can just engineer. It has to get taken by the people. Power World, we keep talking about that. No one expected that to be as big as it was, and yet it was. Obviously, people were kind of down on Suicide Squad, but they kind of were forcing a lot of the more generic elements of live service games. They were doing basically going on a guideline of this is how you get new weapons that do small increments of things.
And it felt forced in shoving it down our throats. This feels organic and natural. This is the game they wanted to make.
And then all of a sudden, because they did that, they were focused on the core of the game itself on its own merits rather than trying to go with the service that everyone's doing nowadays to make more money. They just made a solid game, and it happened to take off. And the reaction shows that, because there just isn't as much disbelief as we are for how successful this game is. And that's just how the cookie crumbled.
It's from Helldivers, dude.
Yeah. Never would have expected that.
Never would have expected this from that, And you have to be thinking over at Sony and PlayStation, they got to be like, oh, shit. Y'all were supposed to be a fun couple of months game, and now you might become a permanent mainstay PlayStation title.
I don't know who the CEO of Arrowhead is. We got a call from fucking Sony, like, hey man, great launch.
Y'all want some more money?
Hey, we got your. We've always liked you. We've always have, and now I think we like you a little bit more. And I remember some comments from the CEO of Arrowhead, unless I'm mixing it up with another developer.
No, it was him.
Yeah, okay, saying that, on the topic of microtransactions, which is a game, this is a game where easily they could have had it and no one would have blinked at all.
I mean, they're there.
Standard. They are, but they do it in a way that other games just don't do it, with being able to naturally get it through playing the game.
And they're cheap.
And they're cheap, too. They're not you look at it, and I've unlocked multiple pieces of equipment from that, superior battle pass, and I've played barely as much compared to you and Phil, and I've been able to get that kind of the super credits.
The Superstore?
Yeah, super credits.
Okay, but you're not from the premium.
Not the big pass. No, super credits. But you're able to get that higher end stuff that would be microtransactions entirely, just through the game, which I like when games do that.
Yeah.
So
no, it's just the balance is right, and there's a quote from the Arrowhead CEO where he said, games like this have to earn the microtransactions. You have to earn it. And he's right. And this is a prime example of, hey, man, you earned it. So, you can charge me for weapons. You can charge me for armor. You can charge me for emotes. I'm cool, because the rest of your game is so fun to play. It's so open to play. And it's so there's so much player agency in how you play, to where it just feels like, regardless of if I spend money or not, I'm having a good time, Yeah. And that's what's really, really impressive about this game. The fact that it's fucking Helldivers, man. Nobody cared about the first one. Outside of a small group of PlayStation players who were in it, who, you played it on the PS4, you played it on the PS Vita. There was crossplay between those two, which is great. But now that we've opened the door, it's PlayStation 5, which is way bigger now. It's PC, which is fucking huge. And same day and date. This was a genius move on PlayStation's part to do this. And it opens up the conversation, which has been a topic of debate for the last couple of weeks now, of how important is exclusivity.
Because people want Xbox to have this game. Phil Spencer wants it, but
Phil Spencer wants it
for personal reasons. Of course,
the community wants it. I'm sure the developers want it. Everybody wants it. Like PlayStation players are saying, no, bring them in. Let's have more fun. Let's have more players. Let's get this game to be a success. No matter what, let's limit the amount of barriers and hoops this game has to jump through to get it to win.
Comparing it to another game where you have a lot of progression and online play, Warzone. It's on all platforms. And I don't think one of the reasons it's thrived as much as it has is because it's on all platforms.
Warzone being the one that pushed PlayStation to bring down the wall on crossplay.
Yeah, there was.
So, is Helldivers the one that makes PlayStation play nice with the other guys? Because right now PlayStation's the only one who's not playing nice at all.
Nope.
And is there enough fan outcry? Guys, hit the social medias. Talk to them. Tag the PlayStations. Make them hear you. We want Xbox to experience Helldivers also. You know, we want them in on this. We're having so much fun playing crossplay with PC, and we're having fun engaging in the talk of the different campaigns that are playing out, and how, you know, the guys fighting the automatons are having trouble, whereas the Terminated guys are just hanging out, having fun, killing each other and stuff. Like, that's a fun conversation to have. And the Xbox players want it, the PlayStation players want it, the Steam players want it. We all want it. We need to talk to them and make sure they know that this needs to happen. Bring them in. This is the game to do it.
We have the ships. We have the weapons. We need soldiers. Yes, that's what we need. Just bring them in.
Some more things I want to see with cosmetics.
Oh, so much
And
color
things,
customization.
Some better color. Like, let me get shaders of some kind, even if it's like full suit shaders or something like that, you know, like let me do that. Or even if it's, hey, you can only use shaders on suits where you're using all three of the same piece. You know, you have to have the set to unlock different shaders and stuff like that. That's fine. I don't need to like color each individual thing. That's fine. Have pre-baked in color variants. I'm totally cool with that. A la like a Spider-Man 2, you know, type thing. Ships. I want different ship designs. Everyone has the same ship design. Sometimes I can't tell which one's mine. I want to know which one's mine. Let me color it. Let me have different models, different makes. You know,
Iconography on it.
Yeah. You know, maybe even put a gameplay modifier on it. Maybe, you know, this ship, your orbitals come faster. This ship, your orbitals are more dangerous.
Doesn't it already do that though?
No. There's no, you can get upgrades for it, but there's nothing cosmetic.
You're still tying that into it. Okay.
Like type stuff, you know? Like maybe it's a booster or something, or cooldown is reduced for this type of stratagem if you have this ship. You know, something small. Yeah. It'd be kind of cute, you know? But mostly, you know, how cool would it be if, you know, we had a cross promotion with Mass Effect, like how Destiny is doing it right now with Mass Effect. What if I could have N7 armor and I could have the SR2 Normandy as my ship? That would be fucking awesome. You know,
you'd be a loser.
Bring some Destiny ships in there. What are the Halo? Open it up to Xbox. Let the Pillar of Autumn be one of the ships. That would be fucking cool. You know, that's, you know, obviously like impossible to like get to as of right now. Everybody go talk to Sony. But, you know, like these are things that I just want to keep seeing grow and blow up and experience in this way. Like, yeah, I want, or weapon skins. Some weapon skins would be cool too. Yeah, you know, just something to kind of give it some more like personality, a little more personality. You know,
I mean, these kinds of games, we keep comparing them to other ones because other ones have also been successful. They always have customization. Warzone, once again, you always hear the latest, like, you could be this character model.
Yeah. And there's still elements of that here. Yeah. You know, I like that you can, you know, customize your ship name. You know, it's a pre-built list of things, but you can like alter, you know, there's Dawn of the Dawn, like you can name it or whatever. Mine is Leviathan of Wrath. You know, yours is
Warrior of Justice, because I fight for justice.
You're such an NPC.
Yeah, and guess what? NPCs, they built this universe.
Yeah, they did. They did. You know, and just like cool stuff like that. It would be fucking cool to like just have more things in that. Like, and you just see how I'm not gonna say easily, but you could see how quickly these ideas can come from guys like me. So you know, these creators, these developers, they must be bursting at the seams with ideas of things of like, man, we wanted to do this, but we couldn't do it before launch, and now we can because we've got the support. People are buying the battle pass, you know? Yeah. It's happening here. Like, and, you know, all these headlines of it finding major success, it's got to be, wow, Sony, get on it. Like, come on, give us more money. Let us do things. Like, let us upscale our staff and stuff, like, because we can do it. Like, we have ideas and we're ready to go.
And you see, that leads me to talk about, I have to be the downside, the pessimist, I should say. Yeah. We've had a lot of layoffs.
Yeah.
You know, we had an entire trend of hiring a bunch of people to, you know, make these games.
Now
these
again,
past couple years.
Arrowhead independent studio.
They are independent studio, but they are hiring 100 people or around that much.
Yeah.
And so it's good right now, but what if that momentum dives down substantially?
Which it will.
Yeah, it will, but is it going to result in massive layoffs? Is it just going to be, like it's going to be all good sounding right now, but just have
you would hope
negative ramifications?
You would hope
at
the staff up is contract work of like,
Yeah.
hey, we're bringing you on for a year or two. If we want to do more after that, maybe we'll have that conversation. But right now, we need just workers to knock out content.
And that's probably the best way to go
right
about it.
now. I would hope so. I hope they're doing that. I hope that's where they're going with it because as great as the success is right here or right now, you will see a dip in player counts. It's going to happen. It'll probably be reduced by 50, 40, 60%,
With the current problems of server counts, probably a good thing overall.
Probably a good
so
thing.
more people can play it.
Right. But again, like, look at that. Like, even if you cut the success in half, what was the expectation of player count?
Mm-hmm.
If you cut it in half, is that still more than what you were expecting at launch?
Probably.
Like, that's fucking nuts. They have to limit it to nearly 500,000 players on servers right now. I know I'm doing it a lot. I'm just
No,
excited.
that's fine. It's fine.
For audio listeners, a little bit of spit came out of my mouth and hit Connor on the little arm right there. You poor little boy. Anyways, but no, I think we have a good story here, and I'm hoping it will stay that way.
I'm excited to see what the Game of the Year conversations are going to be because this is going to already enter into unless some other game hits and replaces this in terms of the perception.
And that's my thing is I don't want to get too crazy right now. And I still loved Prince of Persia so much. Prince of Persia was really, really fucking good. But we're still so early in this year, man. Like we can't talk about this being in the Game of the Year conversation right now because we still have massive games coming out.
Though we did talk about earlier on the podcast about how PlayStation doesn't really have a lot in their guns to fire. So
they've got a outside of Rise of the Ronin and Stellar Blade, they've got a pretty empty year. There's not a big killer IP game this year. There's not a Spider-Man. There's not a God of War. There's not a Ghost of Tsushima or a Last of Us. I imagine Last of Us multiplayer was supposed to come out this year.
It definitely was,
and was supposed to fill that slot and get us through this year. But now it's gone. So what do?
Save us, Final Fantasy, please.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
I don't think it will. But what do we do with Helldivers now? And how much marketing do we give to Helldivers now? Let's blow it up.
I mean, marketing for that game is easy as hell, as they've kind of already shown. Just
Well,
dive into the democracy.
Was it because you and I watched every goddamn State of Play and every PlayStation whatever, and every time you and I walked away with the same message of, hey, we're just excited Helldivers 2 is happening, but is this still going to be Helldivers?
Yeah, it's more of the fact that they have the theme of being Starship Troopers-like, and that just kind of already baked into that.
But that wasn't
IP.
in the marketing pre-launch.
It was not.
It's
no.
in there
But
now.
Yeah.
Now it is, but pre-launch it wasn't. Pre-launch it just looked like your basic third-person action game or whatever with squad-based mechanics or whatever. Like it looked generic. And now that like people have played it, the word has gotten out, people get it. Like it's blown up and had this success, but like there wasn't a State of Play with a Starship Troopers-esque trailer attached to it. You know, now what happens in June? What happens in August?
You already see it with that ad they did of getting the etymologist on there to talk about the bugs.
That was awesome.
I'm done. I'm not talking about the bug. I'm here talking about bugs, not
and
propaganda.
how it's in propaganda. It was a beautiful ad. I love this game. I'm so excited. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know how you feel about Helldivers 2 down in the comments below. Let us know all your thoughts and feelings on the game and how much fun you're having. If you're having fun, what are your complaints? Are you having complaints about the game? Obviously, networking issues is a problem, but that'll get settled with time. And what do you want to see from the future of this game? Make sure to ring off down in the comments below. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with a friend because we really, really do appreciate it. But until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye. Goodbye.